Our first landlords of 9 years, soon after we got in there and got started, it was clear that because we were new, the foundations weren't gonna really tend to us, our proposals, because we didn't have a track record. So it took a while to build all that up. We were very much dependent upon the public and donors and such like that. And our landlord saw what we were doing and gave us a very, 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 large rent break, which to me speaks to there is a recognition by people in real estate and people who own buildings, landlords, and whatever we want to call them, of when something is good. It is mental health, it's spiritual health and well-being. Even when you don't know you need to be healed, you walk into a space and you're like, God, I felt awful. I was in such a bad mood when I got in here, but I'm feeling great now. After the building was sold, the new landlord doubled our rent.
Almost 3 weeks ago, we were told that we would have to either pay or get out. We owed back rent that was coming from the grants that Arts Commission was supposed to distribute to us. And they had agreed initially in the very beginning to hold off on the 3-day notice and that they would wait for the payment. But as the week went on, they were like, no, it's not coming. We had been telling the community we were going to be in that space. We had told our funders we were going to be in that space and shared the programming, the foreseen programming that we were going to have. So to not have that now, it's like everything's on hold again. We don't know if we'll be able to find something in the American Indian Cultural District. Do we say something or do we not? It's like they hold the wallet and they could stop our funding at any time, just to retaliate because we've been retaliated against.
When I began to create an artist-centered vision for the organization, the board, as I found out later, wanted to fire me. The Cultural Artists Network, served by World Arts West, went from a very, very small grassroots community of cultural artists to now the largest world dance network in the nation. Our community is over 85% BIPOC. To be the only person that came from the community, first immigrant and first cultural artist to lead this organization. I had to really go and learn what white supremacy looks like in a liberal arts nonprofit organization.
Instead of the marginalized telling their own story, we have people that are in telling their story for them. And I think when you have that phenomenon happen, and key players are not at the table, the very people that the grants are written to focus on are left out.
I think the numbers are disparate as far as the population and as far as who's in a jazz studies program in the schools. In Oakland, I'm always shocked when I go to their concerts. I'm like, where are all the black kids in a jazz festival in the city of Oakland? We've gone into these schools and taken our programs, and kids have come to the programs. Also, just the actual use of space and having places to do our concerts and those sort of things, developing those kinds of partnerships, finding that music teacher whose values align, and then when you can do that, then that's a win-win.
Absolutely.
Right? Because they talk to their principal and they make things happen.
So I wouldn't say that at a time I had a systematic plan to create some kind of economic empowerment strategy for the organization. It was about leaning into existing knowledge of our team members and being very vigilant about opportunities available. There are many, many cultural dance organizations who were highly eligible for grants funding, but for some reason they were not getting the grants. I asked myself, what was a knowledge that I had a lot of? I'm a longtime grant writer. This is what I know, how to help cultural dance companies access grants funding. The Grants Accelerator program is monthly webinars, educational webinars. My co-director, she does proposal coaching, she helps with the edit, and the size that we can handle is about 10 to 12 artists per year. And what I did not realize in one of the successful formulas of this Grants Accelerator program is addressing the widespread internalized oppression that exists amongst cultural artists. Over the course of the program, the program has raised about $1.4 million during the course of participants' participation. Of course, after they graduate from the program, then they go on to raise more money. People see it now as a very successful program, but I want to say 5 years ago, it was hit and miss because I looked around the nation for a program like this. I could not find one.
A community land trust really looks to the long game. We have a strategic plan to get to the point where we're stabilizing 300 artist households in rental and homeownership opportunities across the Bay Area. And at that point, it will actually be a number that will be, I think, thought of as truly a model to stem displacement and keep artists in the Bay, not just for one generation, but every single one of these units will be for generation after generation after generation.
It's not what you're doing wrong, it's a systemic issue. The rising cost plus restricted funding and delayed reimbursements, what does that equal? That equals instability. So when you're depending on government grants, city grants, you are going to be facing instability because right now our economy and our government systems are unstable. We have to see the big picture, even if you have like really strong fundraising, even if you have you're sustainable for a moment, it's fragile and it's impermanent. Because you could have sustainability but then have no operational support to maintain it. Artists don't fail financially. Systems fail to value cultural labor. We're asking cultural organizations and artists to function like businesses, but funding them like they're short-term projects. We're not funding cultural institutions and investing in them as a long-term, sustainable, absolutely necessary business for the ecosystem